Federal Bureau of
This is Fort
Investigation.
Worth
This
location
call may be
FBI.
recorded.
Since I'm
If this
blacklisted
is
from
an
all
emergency,
FBI
hang
locations
up
I
and
go to
dial
in person.
911. If you know your party's 11-digit extension, press 9 now. If you are a sworn law enforcement officer...
Yes, this is the FBI. Are you in Fort Worth?
No, ma'am. I'm with the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. We're not located in a field office.
Okay, how do I speak with a direct person at the FBI, agent?
You would have to reach out to your local FBI field office if you want to speak to someone directly. If not, I can take the information, and the information will get routed to the proper field office.
They haven't done it for years, ma'am. They keep saying that for years, and I haven't received a call back, a follow-up call for years. So how do you don't want me to speak, ma'am, randomly? Calling? So, ma'am, how do I get the situation? You don't want me to speak again randomly? This would be abusive,
All right,
ma'am.
have a good day, ma'am.
I randomly call, ma'am. Something's going on at the FBI to where they have to start arguments and play games. FBI is heavily guarded in person and on the phone. It happens to be a crime. Tamper with evidence is a felony. If you hijack someone's phone, deprive them of reporting your crimes, those are a big time felonies that are racking up. And clear-cut mental illness to even concoct and think of such insanity. You have just witnessed a multitude of crimes on this channel that have possibly had some interaction in your life as well. I'm not quite sure what happened with COVID. But like I said, if a lot of people are not concerned about their own livelihood and their own safety, they would not be concerned about mine. So let's try this again.
Federal Bureau of Investigation.
This is the Fort Worth
This call may be recorded. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. If you know your party's 11-digit extension, press 9 now. If you are...
This is the FBI. Are you the Fort Worth location?
Yes, this is Fort Worth.
Okay. How do I do reports in person? Because I've been calling years and the operators have tampered with evidence, which is a felony crime, no results, period, covering up for me being deprived of my constitutional right to go to court at a multitude of locations, thefts, embezzlement from paid child support payments, Social Security, and food stamps, and depriving me of my right to the stimulus check.
And who did all this to you?
The federal government, out of corruption. The interference with child custody crimes, the police refuse to investigate, have arrested me multiple times out of corruption to cover for, giving me citations, one that they want me to pay in 2 months, 60 days out of corruption, which is obvious crime. For reporting child abuse, they gave me a ticket to enforce my daughter's abuse.
Okay. I can give you the number to report all that. We are not taking reports in person.
Okay, so hold on. I'm trying to just get it. I'm just trying to obtain evidence, ma'am. So is there any particular reason why now that I'm reporting that I have the government is enforcing that I speak to counterfeits? That I'm deprived of handling all business in person and now everything? I'm just trying to incriminate the government. So now, even though I'm asking for an avenue in person, you're forcing that I talk to these scammers that the government has set up on my phone that I'm purposely trying to incriminate. So now, even though I've asked you,
let me transfer you.
Ma'am, you're the Fort Worth location, ma'am? You're the Fort Worth location, ma'am? Oh, no, they did it again. They want me to speak to the scammers that pretend like they're the call center. That have put in their computer system, don't take any reports from me. Like the police headquarters. And the FBI and a multitude of other locations.
Whom you are calling.
Okay, I'm on hold.
We use this information to assist in investigating your
while I was
tip.
talking.
You do not have to provide your name or other personal information.
All I know is I kept saying that there is a major problem. If the government is stealing food stamps, what my experience on the bus showed that there was a clear mental illness. See what happened.
Telemarketing fraud, gift card fraud.
Federal Trade Commission at www.ftccomplaintassistant.gov. Once again, that website.
Okay, one of the things I was afraid to talk about when I first started riding the bus, because I'm a friendly person. So when I first started riding the bus, I talked to people and I made a ton of friends. Someone tried to take me out to dinner. I said, oh no, not today, and I got numbers. It was amazing. So I was like, okay, riding the bus, because I was terrified riding the bus. I was not on the bus system. So I was not aware of the procedure and different things. So it was terrifying to me. But so when I first rode the bus, I met all these for just the first bus ride. I think I got 2 or 3 numbers, and then someone tried to take me out to dinner. So they said, let me buy you lunch right now. I said, no, I got business to take care of. I'll, get your number and we can, meet up later. So it was a meal. So then when I rode the bus again after that, there was no one on it. And it was creepy. The bus drivers would start arguments. And, one of the things that people wouldn't believe, they would hide hotel stays. They would go off their route to hide hotel stays. So I would spend hours and hours looking for a hotel, and there was no one else on the bus, and they would hide all the hotel stays in locations they knew I was looking for. So they would not give me any route information, period, sabotage it. Kept going to the garage, and there was no one else on the bus. It was terrifying. So after this went on like 10 days, I said, what is going on here? Why is there never anyone on the bus? Then after that, then they enticed the bullies, me getting threatened, me getting degraded, so I could not get friends. Then in addition to that, if they weren't doing that, the repetitive garage. This is when I wasn't recording. I knew if someone had that much power to abuse, that was a threat to national security. When you shut down bus, when you hijack DART and give me a chauffeur for abuse. They would not give me route information. With COVID, it shut down all customer service. And you saw in that video where she still deprived me of customer service help when they were open. They would not tell me. And if they did tell me, they'd lie. I experienced this every day, and my phone would alter search results and different issues. So I was fighting for my life, going to places, trying to go to hotels, and my phone would give me problems and DART. They would leave me, play games, I wouldn't come to the bus stop. If I was the only one at the bus stop, they wouldn't even come if there were no witnesses. So going through all of this, it was terrifying. And nothing has been repetitively done. So I tried to get to the bottom of it and go talk to DART because it was dangerous because I almost fell up under the bus. They kept closing the door on me because I tried to outsmart them. I went to bus stops where there were witnesses because they would leave me almost every time or cut garage on. I had to have my phone out. I just have never seen anything like my experience. So then when I almost got ran over, I knew that their games could have cost me my life. So then I went down, and since the police department was behind it, they didn't want me to do a complaint regarding the bus drivers. They were telling them to do it. So then they had to arrest me to cover for it, to cover for their crime, the crimes that they set up. They took bribes, and they didn't want me having route information for this bully. That's what he liked. He enjoyed it. He didn't want me meeting new people. So they had them put the garage on. So when I started trying to go to the DART locations, bus stops where there were witnesses, then they concocted, just slam the door in her face and deprive her of services anyway. And they did. And when he did that, I started beating on the door because I had waited a long time. And when they had left me when it wasn't witnesses, and then finally someone else needed to catch the bus, and then they left me. Closed the door and drove off, and I almost fell up under the bus and got ran over. So Lindsay and the scheme, trying to cover for all the DART staff's abuse that they set up, the government set up, arrested me to enforce the cover up and enforce the crimes. So when they got caught in all that, they concocted a criminal trespass out of criminal activity to further deprive me of my ability to catch the bus out of corruption. All this before COVID-19. So to me, of course, I would think because of all this mental illness that the government has been a part of that was unaddressed, I immediately thought that it was another scheme. Immediately. But it would have, at the shelter at the convention center when I stayed there temporarily and I tried to get education and feedback, other parties would watch TV all the time. But I thought it was a hoax. I did. So then I started trying to watch the news to get education and feedback. So they cut the TV off when I tried to watch the news. It was the creepiest thing. The staff at Salvation Army, these police that guarded, not Salvation Army, but the convention center temporarily when I came, until they concocted the criminal trespass. out of corruption, stole my battery pack and gave me the criminal trespass and arrested me. So everyone else was allowed to watch the TV. A whole group of people, maybe like 30 people. But when I came to watch TV, they shut it off. This was a Twilight Zone. So then I tried to go look at newspapers to see what was going on with COVID because I thought it was a hoax. And then they try to sabotage my access to newspapers. Like they hide them at these different stores. And then so it was like a Twilight Zone. I didn't know what was going on. But anyway, let me try to call the FBI again. I know that at these situations, my experience is not really realistic. I've never heard of it. I can't get clarity because I can't find anyone that's not covering for it. To me, this is insanity, extreme events, and everywhere I go, they try to minimize it and condone it and make it seem like it's nothing. To me, this is like, okay, so to me, this is like unprecedented behavior. I'll try to call the FBI again. I have been through this years, and I just want it to be resolutions. These are crimes. I don't know if it's because I'm a black woman and maybe I don't have the education level that means that I would have value. I don't know if it's because my economic status, why the United States, maybe it's for profit. But clearly something needs to be done because this behavior puts other people at risk, as I said before COVID. Let me try to call the FBI again. And you may say, go in person? No, they're just as crazy in person. But they give criminal trespasses. So I call the FBI, and then they're telling me I have to call another location. She had just said it was for these. It just makes absolutely no sense, these scammers.
Thank you for calling the FBI. What is the spelling of your first and last name?
Yes, is this Fort Worth FBI?
This is the National Threat Operations Center. We intake information from all the field offices.
Okay, so how do I speak with the FBI directly? Because I want some questions on criminal activity and avenues to report crimes other than this call center. Because I haven't received.
FBI.
I'm sorry?
This is the FBI.
Okay, so I'd like to know how do I report conspiracy to violate civil rights crimes and get it investigated?
All right, so I am required just to ask a couple questions before you get into that.
Okay, so hold on. I want to make sure I understand. So you need to know who I am before you answer questions on my rights?
I am required to ask these questions. However, you can decline. Would you be willing to provide a first and last name?
I would like to decline and just get some questions answered.
Would you be willing to provide a date of birth?
I'd like to decline if I have that right.
And would you be willing to provide a phone number?
I'd like to decline.
And could I just have a zip code for routing purposes, please?
Okay, one moment. 76102.
76102?
Yes. Conspiracy to violate civil rights. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What that consists of?
What do you mean conspiracy to violate civil rights?
The crime that the FBI investigates, conspiracy to violate civil rights. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What that consists of?
You can find more information, most likely on our website regarding that crime.
I've been on the website. That's why I'm asking you.
Can you tell me what's going on?
Okay, so you don't want me to have information on this random call to the FBI on the what I'm asking for? You depriving me of answers?
Ma'am, you want to tell me a little bit about what's going on?
I did ask you if you could tell me more about the conspiracy to violate civil rights, that law, and what the FBI investigates. I'm asking you that question. Are you depriving me of that answering that question?
So again, you can find more information about.
So you do not want me to know about that, period. Okay, so you do not want me to know, calling randomly. You don't want me to know. Okay, is there any party that would like me to know that I can speak with, since you're depriving me of that calling completely random?
So can you tell me about what?
If this is the FBI, are you covering up for the crime? Okay, can you tell me about the public corruption you investigate? What does that include that you investigate? Do you investigate?
Corruption?
Yes, the corruption that you investigate.
The FBI does investigate public corruption.
Okay, so what kind of corruption? But you don't want to give me any information on that, period, calling the hotline. You don't want me to know. Is that correct?
You can You can find more specifics.
I'm asking you on the hotline. I've been on there and I just wanted clarity. So you don't want me to know, period. Okay, do you want me to know about the hacked emails? Is it okay if I know about the hacked emails?
Ma'am, would you be willing to provide me with information about what is going on?
So I've called, but you refusing to answer any questions that I have, period, at a random call.
Do you want to report something?
Okay, so where can I go to get friendly individuals that don't cover for crimes? Can you give me a number where they don't mind giving me information on all these reports?
So you can find more information on our website.
I don't want to go online, ma'am. I'm not being heard.
Would you like to report something?
I'm not being heard. I've reported it years for it to never get investigated. So can you tell me about how you investigate hacked emails?
Ma'am, if you aren't going to report something, I am going to terminate this call.
Okay, so let me make sure. Are you upset, ma'am, that I called to get information? Is it a crime to get information now? Because I've been deprived of it for years.
Ma'am, I just told you can get more information on
I did not want it to be able to call, ma'am. I'm not very good. I don't have access to online, ma'am. I don't have access to online. I'm not being heard.
You can also, if you don't have access, so again, would you like to report something today?
So if I don't have access to online, the government is depriving me of any answers to all my questions as they've done for years, ma'am? Though you're forcing me to only get the information online, I'm forced to do that, and I don't have civil rights like anyone else.
Okay, ma'am, would you like to report something? If not, I am going to terminate this call.
Okay, so can I have any direction on where to go to get information since you're depriving me of it? Can you give me a number to call to get assistance?
You can find information on FBI.gov. You can also additionally call your local field office.
Okay, so you want me to go to FBI.gov?
Right,
ma'am, are you denying me assistance, ma'am?
Ma'am, this is the last time I'm going to ask. Would you like to report something?
I've reported it for years, and I haven't received an investigation. So go to FBI.gov. That's a website. I'm asking for a person, a number. I'm not being heard, ma'am.
Attempt to call your local field office, okay, ma'am?
Okay, what's the local number to the field office? Local number?
Based on the zip code you provide me, the Dallas field office is your local field office. Is that correct?
The zip code? What zip code did I provide, ma'am?
76102.
And that's Dallas? You work for the FBI, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Would you like that number?
Hold on. One moment. I'm just checking something out. 76102 is for Dallas?
Based on what I have.
Okay, because I'm blacklisted. I have a criminal trespass out of corruption for Dallas. And I keep getting railroaded to problems. Can you check and make sure? Okay, ma'am, would you
like that number?
Can you check and make sure, ma'am?
Ma'am, would you like that number?
To Dallas?
Yes.
So you're forcing me to speak with Dallas, and I've already told you I don't want Dallas, and my zip code is 76102.
I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Ma'am, are you conning me again, ma'am? Hacking a phone network is criminal. So if you didn't gather, they are trying to force me to speak to the location that they have set up the criminal trespass out of corruption. There clearly is a location in Fort Worth. They don't want me to go there. They're enforcing problems. So they're railroading me. They were prepared for me on these calls, as they have been years. So I know I keep getting networked into issues. This man is paying a lot of money to have a lot of conspirators to his abuse. They violate me, stalk me, listen to everything I say. They monitor me and know everything about me. So even down to the degree of meeting new people, they interrupt that and sabotage. We're talking about a deranged stalker that is abusing his power over the government in his stalking and abuse and opposition. That's why he's able to pull all this off. He's controlling the government with his obsession and can repetitively get away with it. They know when I'm out of tissue. They knew I was going to get the planter that was filled with water. I know my life is the way that it is, the way they did it. He knows that I'm particular about dirty items. So the dirtier one was placed at the bottom and the clean one was at the top. They know when I'm purchasing what I'm shopping for. They've done this years. So since I know my life is normal and I reached for the cleaner one, I said, girlfriend, you know how your nightlife is. Proceed cautiously. Sure enough, it was filled with water. So they know when I make these purchases, I beg for my life a long time with no consequences. This is fraud that a multitude of people keep witnessing with no consequences.
Dallas 911, Sterl speaking. What's the address of your emergency? Fire or medical?
Well, see, I've already called, ma'am. I don't even know why I'm not crying. I'm blacklisted from all housing, all church support, my family. I get stolen food stamps, my money out my account, payroll, Social Security, Attorney General, stop, gang stop, police, all kind of other parties that stalk me and violate me daily with no consequences. They gave me a ticket to enforce my daughter's abuse. I can't speak with her out of corruption. They're so sick they even concocted that I can't talk to her on the phone or text. At my daughter's location, someone was so furious that I was at my daughter's house, hit me right in front of the house. Got caught in lies. The police department as well as my insurance company covered for it. What's her name? The adjuster caught the person in lies and then he hung up. Then they concocted that they had the wrong mailing address so it wouldn't get investigated, the gang stalking that the police refused to investigate and enforce and cover up for. So I've called, I think 3 weeks ago and no one responded. I don't have that right to 911 calls. As I did in getting attacked, guns pulled on me, assaults, all kinds of avenues, emergency situations, crises, reporting child abuse. They refused dispatch out.
So
Poisonous snakes in front of tents.
Okay, so what do you need police for today, ma'am?
This is 911, the non-emergency line?
Well, this is 911.
Okay. Do you have a non-emergency line?
It comes to the same place.
Okay, can you tell me why when I called it, they gave me a ticket for trying to report crimes that the police were committing and upholding that ticket on what I can do because the government has defrauded me out of a lot of funds with no consequences?
I apologize, but I don't have any way of knowing why a citation is issued.
Well, don't you have a responsibility if the government is so corrupt they deprive someone of their right to report crimes just because it's the government? And it's my daughter's child abuse. Don't you? If you're 911 and you know that I called 911 and someone was so psychotic that they gave me a ticket for doing so, why I don't understand why protection and assistance is impossible for years.
Ma'am, I don't.
I cannot get help. It is. You have to see it for yourself. I cannot get law enforcement. Period. Any help, period, before COVID, this is my life, period. I can't get it from 911. I can't get it from CPS, the law enforcement, domestic violence shelters, nowhere, period. You are witnessing what I have been through for a long time, less the assaults and arrests.
Okay, ma'am. I apologize. I don't have any control over any of that. I take calls and send them over to dispatch. What happens after that, I have no knowledge of. I have no control over.
Who does? Because they're still enforcing that I paid this ticket that was derived out of criminal activity, and they keep getting away with it years. I don't have finances to pay for these crimes. Continue to let the government defraud me out of funds for profit. I don't have that money. I'm not a wealthy woman. They've already robbed me of Social Security, paid child support payments, my job, my children with no consequences. Then deny me of law enforcement to protect me against the chaos they forced me to live in.
Okay.
Violate me, break into my phone, have people torture me over my phone, cover for all the crimes, every avenue I take, down to monetization on YouTube. I don't even have the right to look at YouTube casually. Chaos on YouTube, just scrolling through my feed. Nothing is safe for me as it hasn't been for years. Everywhere I go. If I want to go out now and just let my hair down and go to the lake, I'll get terrorized doing that. With no consequences. The government has already deprived me of the right to one child, my middle child. And then my older child terrorized him to where he don't have nothing to do with me. And now they're trying to set up chaos with my youngest child. With no consequences once again.
Okay,
and no one seems to have the answer for any solutions for years. How do I report the government committing crimes on 911?
All I could suggest to you, ma'am, is I put a call in and ask officers to come talk
Those
to
are the
you.
bullies, ma'am. That's who's setting it up. Officers don't help. They bully, violate, and commit crimes. I don't have the right to law enforcement. I'm not being heard. Or 911 call assistance, as I called 3 weeks ago and no one showed. And I called multiple times and they never showed up. Then sometimes they con and say that they came and no one answered, which was a blatant lie. I want to have rights. There's a constitution that's supposed to be followed. Who does something? I mean, how do we get resolutions that I've been deprived of years?
Ma'am, the only thing I might suggest to you is contact a lawyer.
So you want me to contact a lawyer? I'm deprived of the right to a lawyer.
Ma'am,
I'm not quite sure lawyer. I don't get railroaded back to lawyers, ma'am. Is there any particular reason why, it's not concerning to you that I'm deprived of law enforcement? Don't you have a right to a responsibility to report things like this with your job duty and task, knowing that didn't I say that there was child abuse involved? I'm not quite sure why you would commit a crime, ma'am.
Who are you saying is committing child abuse?
The government.
How
They're
is the
enforcing my
government
abuse and my
abusing
daughter's
child?
abuse, and all 911 operators have committed crimes and not performed their
ma'am,
job
I've
duty of
offered
reporting the crime.
Ma'am, do you want to let me answer your questions, or do you want to continue?
Are you
talking
gaslighting
over
me, ma'am, like a multitude of other parties have done when you're not doing your job task as a 911 operator? You have a responsibility if you hear that the government is committing crimes and enforcing my abuse as well as my daughter's to forward that over to the proper agency for law enforcement.
Ma'am, I'm going to put a call in here and ask officers to come and visit with you.
I didn't ask for officers, ma'am. They're the ones committing the crimes.
Well,
you have a
other than that,
responsibility that you're deflecting off of. If you're an
Ma'am.
operator and I'm telling you the police is committing a crime, you're supposed to route that to the right agency for law enforcement and not cover for it as you guys have done years.
Ma'am.
You're not being honest. And why would you do that as well as every other one I speak with? If I'm telling you a police
put a call in here, and then I'm gonna
police are the ones committing the crimes, ma'am. 911 has set me up multiple times like they did at Red Roof Inn.
Okay.
Well, not 911, but I've been set up calling places like they did at Red Roof Inn.
Okay. I've heard everything you've had to say. You've not listened to one word I've had to say. I'm putting a
Ma'am,
call
you're not doing your job task. You're passing the buck.
And I'm gonna disconnect the line now.
So I'm reporting government committing crimes and you're disconnecting the call. This is criminal. They need their charges, years of this. It was way worse. Now I'm recording. It is sick. I just have to sit and wait. Like I've done years. As you can see, I put up a fight. I don't know what to say.